Platform hostess for today, and I thank all the people who are here and are thrilled to be here. We're thrilled to have you. I welcome the people who are online, who are unable to join us today, but I want everybody to know how grateful we are and how fortunate we are in this Unity Church. Then this is for everybody that has a Facebook account. You can go log in and say check in. Let your friends know that you're at the Unity of Melbourne. And so you can now also donate to Unity via Facebook. Just scroll down to the donate link. And for those watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a comment. We always appreciate it, and you are so welcome. What do we do here at Unity, and what do we believe? And I would like for you, after I read this once, I would like for you to repeat it with me. We love and accept ourselves and others and heal our world. This is our why and how postcard. We have those out here, and you can pick them up, take them with you, put them in your car, or whatever you want to do with them, and get the word out. And that helps us as a church, as people get to know us, what our beliefs are. Let's bless our children. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ. We're happy to announce that we do have volunteers in the children's room over there that they spend a lot of time and a lot of work doing the work with the children. And they're strictly volunteers, and we appreciate them. Let's first read the daily word in English. Wisdom. Wisdom guides my words and actions. When I have felt torn trying to decide which way to go or how to handle a trying situation, I may have asked in prayer for insight and guidance. As I have grown spiritually, I have come to realize that any insight and guidance I could need are within me. Aspects of my divine inheritance. Divine wisdom is my ability to intuit, to sense, and to discern my best choice. I pay attention to my hunches, flashes of inspiration, and the whispers of guidance I feel in my quiet moments. I believe they are divinely inspired, even if they surprise me. In confidence and with gratitude, I move in the direction of my highest good, trusting in my innate wisdom. Okay, right now, Nelsa will read the daily word in Spanish. And she's going to use, you can't pull it up on the phone? I'm sorry, we're having a little technical problem there, but Beth was going to try to pull it up on her phone, and somehow we do not have a copy of the daily word. And I hope that you have it and have taken some home and you can use it. If you're online, just let us know and we will try to get you a copy. Right now, I'm going to introduce our special guest, and we are so fortunate. Dr. Will Tuttle and his wife, Madeline. He's a pianist, he's an educator, he's a composer, he's an author of several books. The one that gets my attention right away is The World Peace Diet. He provides uplifting and healing original music and help people awaken their inner wisdom and Eunice. His PhD is in education from University of California at Berkeley, focusing on intuition. He's taught college courses in philosophy, humanity, mythology, creativity, and comparative religion. He was a Zen monk at one time, and he is a Dharma master in the Korean Zen tradition. Currently conducting a music art and education ministry with his wife. She's a visionary artist, which you see her paintings around here now, and she specializes in painting that celebrates the beauty of animals and nature. She's also a flautist and Waldorf teacher. Traveling and providing, they do lectures, concerts, and workshops throughout North America, and they do it worldwide. They're inspiring art prints, cards, and books, as well as a recording of original piano. Also, in the lobby out here, we have they have copies of their books and their paintings, and you certainly are welcome to purchase them anytime that you would like to. So I'm not going to say anything more about Dr. Will. Yeah. Oh, guess what? We did find the Daily Word in Spanish, so she's going to come up and give it to you now. Thank you for your patience.
Buenos días a todos. La palabra de hoy es sabiduría. La sabiduría guía mis palabras y acciones. Cuando he tenido dudas sobre qué camino tomar o cómo enfrentar una situación difícil, probablemente he orado en busca de calidad y guía. A medida que he crecido espiritualmente, he descubierto que cualquier visión clara y guía que necesito están dentro de mí, como parte de mi herencia divina. La sabiduría divina es mi capacidad de intuir, sentir y discernir cuál es la mejor decisión. Presto atención a mis corazonadas, a los destellos de inspiración y a los susurros de guía que surgen en mis momentos de quietud. Reconozco que, aunque inesperados, estos momentos están divinamente inspirados. Con confianza y gratitud, avanzo hacia mi mayor bien, confiando plenamente en mi sabiduría interior. Entonces oirán estas palabras: este es el camino, vayan por él, no se desvíen. Isaías 30, 21.
Muchas gracias. Un poquito, speaking poquito. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I'd like to go ahead and just transition now into our meditation time this morning. So please get comfortable in your seats, and I'll be doing that just here at this piano. So here we go. So let's just become aware of our breathing. With every exhalation, just letting go into this present moment. Giving thanks for this precious opportunity that we have this morning, this beautiful day, to enter more deeply into the wisdom that shines always in our heart. As we enter more deeply into the present moment, the only holy moment is right now. And we give thanks for this beautiful outer center, this sanctuary, knowing that this outer sanctuary is a manifestation of the inner sanctuary, where we dwell always in unity with the infinite love that is the source of our life and of all life. And we give thanks for everyone who helps to make this outer sanctuary possible, where we can connect more deeply with the wisdom traditions. That turn our minds away from the delusion of separateness to the truth of the infinite interconnectedness of all life. We give thanks for all of the teachers in our life. We give thanks for all of the teachings and open our minds to the eternal truth that what we are was never born, will never die, is eternal consciousness. And we give thanks for this community and for the community of all living beings in this beautiful earth. And we especially give thanks for all of the animals celebrating their lives here in the oceans and waters, flying in the air, and living with us on the land. And we give thanks for the whole human family together on an adventure of awakening to the truth of the infinite eternal Christ presence within. We give thanks knowing that at the very heart of the universe, the light that shines is shining right now in our heart and shining in every cell of our being, bringing every aspect of our body and all of our affairs, all our thoughts and feelings into alignment with the truth that we are. Bringing healing and awakening to every dimension of our life. And now we'd allow the music to deepen our connection with the purpose, the unique mission that we have in this lifetime. Allowing the music to open the doorway to enter more deeply into an understanding of our true nature. And together, let's take a moment and just enter the silence of being for a moment. The pure potential. beings be happy and at peace. May all beings be free. May we realize the original brightness of our minds and hearts, and may we continue together to work to build a more enlightened society, a world that cares for everyone, a world that reflects the truth of the inner Christ shining always in our hearts through the power and through the presence of the infinite Spirit of truth and love. We give thanks, knowing this is so. And so it is. Thank you, everyone, for joining together in our meditation time. I'd like to play a short piece of original music before we go into the talk, and this will be a piece called Dance for the Arctic Moon. It's dedicated to the sacred feminine dimension of consciousness. And we'll be talking more about that later, but the idea is the feminine capacity that we all have within us is the capacity to be receptive, to listen, to connect with a higher awareness that's always available. And so of the four directions, the north is considered the direction of going within, and the moon very often represents the sacred feminine. So this is Dance for the Arctic Moon. Enjoy. Thank you. I'd like to dedicate this to the healing of all of our relations. Enjoy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, it's so great to be back at Unity of Melbourne. Madeline and I have been to this ministry many times, but it was always on Trimble Road, so it's been quite a few years. I remember very well Tom Witherspoon and Beth Love and the ones before. Madeline and I have actually been traveling now to Unity churches, I think, for about almost 40 years. And it's a really honor to be part of this ministry in that sense and serving that way and speaking at churches. I think we've probably presented at this point more churches than anyone ever in the history of Unity in every state except North Dakota. But when they get one in North Dakota, we'll be there. But yeah, and one of the things I love about Unity really is the underlying teaching that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were able to bring forth, over 100 years ago in the Midwest of the United States. And I think it's a very healthy teaching because it's really based on inclusion, this idea of kind of radical inclusion. Not only is everyone welcome here, there's also this underlying understanding that we have a heritage on this planet of many ancient wisdom traditions, and we're open to them, right? We're open to the beautiful wisdom of the Christian tradition, but also of the other wisdom traditions. And this inclusivity, I think, is a very powerful asset to our tradition. It makes it very healthy. I remember when I was a kid growing up, we went to a church and we had our belief, our creed, and the idea was if you just believe this, then you'll get to go to the heaven that's just for us, and that kind of idea. And so it's very refreshing, I think, to come to Unity and have this feeling of a universality. But what that does, actually, is it puts the responsibility really on us. And so Charles and Myrtle Fillmore always emphasize this. Charles is kind of famous for the idea and saying this line that each one of us should go straight to headquarters, right? That idea that we have the capacity to connect directly. For him, that meant, I'll just ask Myrtle. But for the rest of us, for me, I can say, I'll just ask Madeline. But the rest of us, the whole idea is to cultivate what we talked about actually in the Daily Word this morning, this wisdom, right? This idea that we have within us, an inner resource. I refer to it as our inner guidance system, that we have an inner knowing within us that we can learn to connect with, and that can help lead us to live our unique life. So this is I think is a really important, essential and a very important point. And the idea is that when we're connecting with our inner guidance system, our inner wisdom, it doesn't mean that our life will then just be a total bed of roses, that we have no challenges, no problems, everything just goes just how we want to, hunky-dory. But what it does mean is that we'll be living our life, not somebody else's. We'll be living authentically. And there's an underlying feeling when that's happening of joy. There's this underlying feeling of joy. And I think that's an important point because in many cases, I think we're raised in a society where we're taught that we're just this physical body and that we have to kind of get what we want and keep away what we don't want. And we're in this sort of endless battle. And sometimes it's kind of gross and kind of really like fighting for ourselves. Oops, I hope that's okay. And sometimes it's kind of subtle and we're just sort of manipulating people as best we can to get what we want. But the whole idea is, in the Buddhist tradition, that's called samsara, which means suffering that never ends. And the whole idea is that we need to, in a sense, ultimately awaken out of the delusion of being this physical thing, this object that was born and will die, and we're therefore basically afraid of what might happen and so forth, and trying to manipulate, and realize the deeper truth that what we are is infinite and eternal consciousness that was never born and will never die, and we're functioning for a few short decades through this physical body. And when we begin to understand that, then we begin to awaken out of the cultural trance. Remember what Krishnamurti said. He said, it's not a good idea to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So we all want to be well-adjusted. We want to get along and be like everybody else and fit into the tribe and do what they do, eat what they eat, wear what they wear, think what they think. So we just think if we do that, we'll be safe somehow. But there's no spirituality actually in that. So the thing I think that's interesting is that when we begin to have an yearning for a spiritual understanding, that we begin to realize that it's really up to us. It's our responsibility to guide ourselves, not some outside authority, whether that's a minister or, I mean, not unity ministers okay, but ministers in general. No, but the idea is that if we look at our life, essentially, we're doing something every day. We're making many choices every day. We're getting up in the morning and we're going through our day, and we have aspirations, and we do all these different things. So what is propelling us along the way, right? Why are we doing what we're doing, buying what we're buying, eating what we're eating, saying what we're saying, working at what we're working at, all these things? What is it? What's pushing us? Really, there's only two possibilities. One possibility is the cultural program, right? I mean, from the time we're little kids, we're like a little sponge, and we soak up the language and the food and the attitudes of our parents and teachers and friends and neighbors and relatives, and so we maybe go to church because they did, and we kind of go through our life and we're following along, doing what we're told to do by our teachers and by everybody. And that's pretty much, I have to say, it's not a lot of actual spirituality in that. We're just following orders, basically. So when the spiritual path actually starts is when we begin to connect with our intuition, this inner guidance system. We actually start connecting with a higher knowing. We said, this is mine to do in this lifetime, or in this moment, in this day. And when that starts happening, then we're actually on the path. And I think that's when we begin to connect with what I referred to earlier as the joy that's always present. Because we tend, I think, in our society, because we have so many obligations and responsibilities and pressures, financial pressures and relationship pressures and family pressures and all these things, to have a mind that's very busy. And we're always thinking about what we should have done, what we could have done, and what we hope they would have done, or what we would have done if they would have done. And it goes on. And our mind is full of this endless train of thinking. So how many of you have a regular spiritual practice every month? Oh, great. So that's one of the things I really think is very important as a foundation to beginning to connect with the intuition. Because when we don't work with our consciousness and we're just kind of following along with the program, then it's very difficult to connect with this deep inner joy. But when the mind gets quiet, and that takes practice, it's like anything else. When you work at something, you can develop an ability. It might take quite a few months and years, but gradually we begin to get a familiarity with our mind and how it works and the thoughts and so forth. And we begin to get glimpses that there's beyond the turmoil or the clouds of my thinking and so forth. There's this infinite, eternal sky. There's our true nature, the being that we are, that's undamageable, actually, by the comings and goings of, now I have this physical problem, or now I have that financial problem. But beyond that, there's our being. And we're here, really, I think, in many ways, to learn, to grow, to contribute. And sometimes it's very challenging. But you think about it. If I want to get strong, right, I go to a gym, and I go in there, and then I'm going to lift some weights, right, to get strong muscles. I wouldn't want to go to a gym where the heaviest weight they had was only 2 pounds. I'm not going to get very strong. So the Earth Gym has some heavy weights. I mean, really, you come here, it's like, oh yeah, I got to deal with that and that. So, but it's to make us stronger. It's to help us to connect with the power that we have, to overcome the delusion of being this thing that was born and will die. Because we're bombarded with, as soon as we leave here, everything is bombarding us with the delusion of being a fundamentally separate self and having to compete with others and so forth and do this whole thing. So the whole idea is to have this inner practice and to make this effort. And when we begin to do this regularly, and then when we create a community where we're supporting each other in this is critically important, because it's very difficult to do anything on our own. We're really embedded in a social matrix, and it can really control, in many ways, our thoughts and our actions. So to create a positive community. And the way we create it is by working on ourselves, doing the inner practice ourselves, and then doing the best we can to manifest this, to be an example of that. So I'd like to just thank all of you, because I know if you found your way through this door and you're part of this community, that you're doing this inner work. And the ancient wisdom teachings have so much to offer. And in many cases, our society today ignores them a lot, right? I mean, this is a big disaster. We have to really understand them, and like the Fillmores did, understand them, and then perhaps create a context that's relevant for us today, so we can pass these ancient wisdom teachings on to the future generations. Because without these wisdom teachings, we could really get lost in delusion and suffering and competition in a way that's harmful, and the strong dominating the weak and the whole thing. So it's really great that you're making these efforts, and never doubt that any effort we make is ever lost. I'll just say a couple of words here about in my own life. I want to check the time here. Yeah. So the basic thing, and I have a few minutes, I want to emphasize that each one of you, I know, is on a journey. You have your own unique adventure, and each adventure can teach us something. Like in my own case, I was born and raised in Concord, Massachusetts, back in the 1950s, and it was a pretty neat place to grow up, just because there was a lot of history. Do you remember? You should remember. In 1775, hardly a man is now alive remembers the famous day and year, the midnight ride of Paul Revere. By the rude bridge that arched the flood, their flags to April's breeze unfurled, here once the embattled farmers stood and fired the shot heard round the world. That was the beginning of the American Revolution. And my father, every April 19th, which is Patriots' Day, where we reenact the battle, he would get dressed up in his Minuteman outfit and get the gun off the wall, and we'd go celebrate the revolution. The whole idea is, if you have a situation where there's tyranny, we can't grow spiritually if we can't even think what we want to think and do what we want to do. So it's very important. This idea of freedom is really important. And then, a little later in Concord, in the mid-1800s, there was the Transcendentalist movement, right? You've heard of Thoreau. I learned to swim in Walden Pond. I was born in Emerson Hospital. I went to Alcott School. So these were the Transcendentalists. And they were the first ones to bring onto American soil these ancient wisdom teachings from Asia. So Thoreau, for example, had the largest library in the whole United States of books like the Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, the ancient Vedanta teachings, these ancient Confucian teachings, Hindu teachings. And these teachings are in harmony, really, with the wisdom teachings of the West. In some ways, they give another perspective. For example, they brought in this idea of God as infinite mind from the Buddhist tradition, or the idea of God as principle from the Taoist tradition, a principle that you can understand and live in harmony with. And when we live in harmony with this universal principle, the Tao, then we have much more health and harmony and understanding. Or the idea from the Hindu tradition that God is equally female as male, right? So these were ideas that were enriching our society, and Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were drinking these, and they were bringing that into the unity tradition. So when I went away I never knew about this when I was a kid, really. I was just a kid playing baseball and running around. But when I went away to college, I started to read Thoreau and Emerson, and that was really interesting. And the Transcendentalists, and that led me to Walt Whitman. Oh, I just loved Walt Whitman. And that led me eventually to meditating and yoga. Back in the early 1970s, I was at a college in Maine called Colby College. And that led me to a book that some of you may have heard called Cosmic Consciousness. Have you ever heard? It's an old book from the 1890s, written by a guy named Richard Buck from Canada. But basically, the main idea was that most human beings live in what he called self-consciousness. So we care basically about ourselves. That's it. Or a little, our family, this tribe we have. But, he said, a few people, rare people, had attained what he called cosmic consciousness. People like Jesus and the Buddha. And he gave quite a few other examples of great sages and saints and mystics and poets, both men and women, throughout the ages, who had been able to leave the prison of self-consciousness and live their lives to bless others. They just had this universal loving kindness for humans, for animals, for all living beings. They had lost the sort of petty sense of self and fear of death, and they lived a much higher purpose. And the thing that really struck me was, as he gave these examples of these people and how they lived and their teachings, he said, It is the destiny of every human being to attain cosmic consciousness. That's really why we're here. That's the purpose of our life. And anything else is basically a distraction. And so I remember going back home on my breaks to my parents and down in Massachusetts and saying, Mom, Dad, you know we're here to attain cosmic consciousness, right? We're not just here, to make money and all that stuff. And then my father said, well, actually, that education, it's actually costing me quite a bit of money. But anyway, he and my mother, I actually have to say I am very blessed with my parents and my family. My father was a piano player. He actually taught me to play the piano, and my mother was an artist, so I married an artist, But I'm so blessed, actually. My beautiful wife, Madeline, we've been married 31 years. I always say the smartest thing I ever did was marrying Madeline. But anyway, so I talked to my parents about it, but my younger brother, Ed, when I told him about cosmic consciousness, to my delight, he said, yes, that's it. Let's do it. Let's attain cosmic consciousness. So I had just graduated from Colby. It was 1975, and we thought hard and long about how we would attain cosmic consciousness. And then we knew what to do. It was so obvious. Why didn't we think of this before? We'll just go to California. we can't miss, right? So we headed off to California, and we walked on the drive. We each had our little backpacks. I had some fresh baked cookies from my mother, and we were going to go to California and walk the whole way with no money. Because we thought, in India, the sadhus, they walked and they meditated, and that was all that mattered. So we thought we'll do the same thing. So we were walking and working our way west, and after a number of weeks, we got as far as Buffalo. And in Buffalo, it was freezing. It was October. And so I thought, let's just head south. Let's just try to stay ahead of the cold front. And so that's what we did. So we walked about 15 or 20 miles every day on these little tiny backcountry roads down through upstate New York into Pennsylvania, and across Pennsylvania into West Virginia. We got into West Virginia. The first little town, they said, boys, you're in the Bible Belt. And I didn't know what that meant, but I found out pretty quickly. They try to save you every night. So we kept going, and we were doing our meditation, but we had no money, so we were just staying in little churches usually and sleep on the floor and get up in the morning, and somehow we get food. But we got and then all the way across West Virginia into eastern Kentucky, Appalachia, really poverty, just an amazing situation. But we just, we went through, and really we had some quite amazing experiences. Since we didn't have any money, it was like we were just with the people, and we would sometimes speak to their Sunday school classes. And I remember one time they said, can you talk to our Sunday school? They liked what we were doing. I said, we're just walking to realize spirituality. And all right, can you talk to our kids? And we said to the kids, the most important thing, seek ye first the kingdom of God. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven. Everything else shall be added unto you. And that really is true, actually. We found it. We didn't have any money, but we never went hungry. Somehow, remember one time we were walking, and we hadn't eaten for like a couple of days, and there was a sandwich wrapped for us by the side of the road, and we weren't even surprised. It's like things would unfold, and I remember after that church, they gave us $30 for talking to the kids. And so we stopped and had lunch. And back then, lunch cost maybe $12 for two people. So we gave the waitress an $18 tip and just kept going because we didn't want to hang on, let every day take care of itself. That was kind of the idea. But anyway, we eventually got us down into Tennessee. And in Tennessee, we heard about a community called The Farm. And The Farm in 1975 was the largest hippie commune in the world. And they were mostly from California. So we ended up at The Farm for a few weeks, and it was really interesting because they were all vegetarians, and we were just eating whatever the heck we could get. But we learned from them about that most of the food were growing to animals while people are going hungry, and these other things, and the cruelty to animals. So I've never eaten meat in my life since that day at The Farm. And I met Madeline many years later. I found out this young Swiss artist in Switzerland had never eaten meat since 1975. And eventually we left The Farm. We ended up if you believe it, at a Zen center in Alabama, in Huntsville. And then eventually from there ended up in in San Francisco at these meditation centers, and eventually shaved my head, became a Zen Buddhist monk in Korea. And then from there, I realized that after a number of years, quite a few years, actually pretty much my whole 20s, just meditating, that our life is not merely about meditation. I mean, it is. That's very important. But we're here also to do something. And so I ended up coming back and getting my PhD at Berkeley. And I discovered unity, and I realized that the unity teachings are enormously precious because they have the depth and wisdom of the core teachings of Christianity, which are the same as all the wisdom traditions. And it's in a way that we can understand it and live it and share it in our world today. And so I've been so delighted that Madeline and I have been able to be part of this movement for all these decades, because I think the underlying message is something that each one of us, when we understand it, we help others. The more we raise our vibration and take responsibility for the quality of our life and our relationships and how we live, the more it helps the whole world. And so we can come to this earth, instead of just being part of the problem and contributing to the suffering, we can be contributing kindness and love and awareness, knowing that there's one life living through all of us. And when we do that, then this bubbling spring of joy, because that's what I remember about that walk, was we were walking along sometimes, and we had no reason to be happy, right? I mean, we had no money, we had no security, we had very little comfort. We weren't doing what we were supposed to do. Nobody really thought it was a good idea except us. And yet, I remember on that walk, sometimes I would have these waves of joy pouring through that, like I had never had since I was maybe 1 year old. I think maybe I had it, but since then I was always trying to please people. And I think that's the thing, when we live our life, it doesn't mean everybody's going to like what we're doing, but we'll be living our life in connection with our intuition, our inner guidance system. And there'll be this sense of joy. And out of that, we can be an example. So instead of trying to change other people, we can just change ourselves, bring our own life into alignment with our true nature, and then we can be an example. And they see us, and they say, well, I want to do that too. I want to have the sense of joy that you have. And that, when we create a whole community of people on that path, we radiate into the whole town, into the whole state, the whole world, a positive way of being. So thank you all for that. And I'll just close with this final idea, which is the three jewels. The three jewels is in the Buddhist tradition, there are the three jewels. These are the most precious aspects. And they're the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So the Buddha is our enlightened true nature, eternal, what we would call our Christ, the inner Christ. The Dharma is the teachings that help us to awaken this precious Buddha nature, the teachings that are so precious. And the Sangha is the community of people who are dedicated to propagating the Dharma, to living by the teachings, and to awakening their true nature, the Buddha nature. And the Buddha said something very interesting. He said, if there is no Sangha, there will be no Dharma and there'll be no Buddha. So of all the three jewels, it's really the Sangha that's the most important. So to come to this earth and not only make an effort to awaken our true nature, to understand what we actually are, and to understand the deeper teachings, but then to help create a community of where this is happening, this is to have lived our life very well. Because we don't last forever. I remember hearing an interview with the oldest living human being, a woman from Japan. They said she was 119. Wow, so what's it like being 119? And she looked at him and she said, all I can say is, it goes by very fast. It does, and we're all going to get to that point where we leave our body. So that's the one thing we all share. So what matters is how we live our life. And by living our life to help this community and to support a spiritual community with our practice and with all our efforts is a great thing to do. So I just want to close finally with one final piece of music, a short piece. This is a piece called From Silence. And the whole idea is that we emerge out of silence, we sing our song and do our dance, and then we return to silence. The silence contains everything, the pure, infinite divine potential. It's always there. It's always within us. So enjoy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tuttle. Aren't we very blessed to have Dr. Tuttle and his wife Madeline with us today? That was fantastic. And again, look at this artwork up here. That is also very fantastic. We are so blessed. And I want to thank the people, you, the congregation of this church, because the people are who make the church. And I thank Stoney for providing the music with us and the other people. There's one person around here that I personally would like to thank, who I don't think she receives a lot of credit, and that's Judy from the office. She does a lot of extra work. She's always in here on Sunday morning. So right now it is time for our offering. We thank everybody for making this service possible. We'll take your donations and tithes as you bring them up forward to our baskets here. If you don't have a tithe to give, that's okay too. You can come up and bless the basket. You can there are many other ways to give. One is by check. One is just donate online, either by credit card, or you can give cash. And this church, I think, receives a lot of online donations. So please come forward as we take your offerings. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Let's do our prosperity affirmation first, and let's go do it with me. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I serve. I am grateful.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mother, Father God, for the abundance and prosperity that flows within each of us and outpouring into the world. We thank you for all the many ways that everyone here gives to UT of Melbourne. Their ways of service, also monetarily, all the many ways that we are blessed here. And we know, God, that as we give, so we shall receive. And we bless and anoint all the prosperity and all the blessings today. And for this we say, so it is. Amen.
Thank you. What is unity all about? We have out in the foyer here the why, who, and what board. That board gives information out on what's going on here at Unity. It also has information about the upcoming classes and the activities that are going on. And if you're interested in any of those activities, please sign up, or if you would like to receive our weekly newsletter, or a monthly or twice a month phone calls from the board, a prayer call, either one of those, please sign up for, and we'll get you registered. And this is there's individual sign-up sheets out there. Also, on the prayer list, we have cards for people to do that. We also have chaplains here. I see 3 of them. Would the chaplains please stand up, just very hurriedly? And if you want to pray with those chaplains, there's a corner you can pray on after the service, and they would be very glad to pray with you. A few announcements. First of all, remember to feed the kitty, the coffee fund and the snack fund that we have out there, and it'd be nice if you could do that. Back a couple months ago, another announcement is the Qigong classes started. and it's by Linda Boyd. Linda Boyd is not here. She's out of town, but we have two people who are willing to fill in and do it. They gather at Ballard Park on Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. They'll be teaching the class, Colleen and Rick Carroll will be teaching the class while Jim and Linda are traveling for the next couple of weeks. And ask if you would stand. Rick and Colleen, are you here? There they are. Okay, they're the ones that are going to be teaching the class. And you might want to mention them right after the service here. The next announcement we have is about the Veterans Transitional Facility, and this is something that's near and dear to my heart because I happen to be a veteran. But they're always in need of extra toilet paper, paper towels, individual packages, and of cookies and snacks. I personally like to give them that because somehow they will come up with the other needs. But it's a wonderful idea. We have a box out there. The box is blue, and on it says Veterans. So please contribute to that. I think I mentioned that Unity is a place of prayer, and let's do the prayer for protection. Yes, we have one more announcement here. Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite everyone to our workshop this afternoon at 12 o'clock. Albert Schweitzer said the key to happiness is good health and a short memory. And that's really what we talk about, just coming into this present moment and connecting with our own unique way of accessing our intuition. So the workshop is called Opening the Intuitive Gate, the Keys to Developing Your Intuition. We'll be sharing some techniques of meditation and imagery along with music and art to help everyone connect with your own unique way of accessing your intuition. So please join us if you can from 12 till 2 right here. We'll see you then. Thank you. Bless you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tuttle. And I would encourage people, unfortunately I have another commitment, but I would encourage people to attend that if possible. And remember, they have their books and tapes out here. They're paintings by Madeline, which I see some of you have come up and looked at, and they are really great paintings. So you might want to stop by and spend some money with them. Let's do the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The light of God abides with me. The light of God flows through me. The love of God directs me. The power of God abides within me. The strength of God uplifts me. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. Wherever I am, God is.
So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world now. We are making a new world.